Good Friday morning, Mount Olive family, friends of Mount Olive, all you tuning in to watch another Friday devotion. As always, I appreciate each one of you for taking the time to watch these devotions. Appreciate all the other guys for taking their time to do them as well. We hope that they help you in your walk with the Lord. I'm going to try to share my screen with you. Borrowed some of Brother Jody's slides from his message Sunday. I hope you got to be there. A very good message. He titled it To and Through the Fire. And a little bit of the background of it. King Nebuchadnezzar, he had attacked Jerusalem. He had brought back the young men fit for service in the palace. He changed their names. He gave them a new diet. Daniel comes along. He interprets a dream, and then there's a golden image set up. There's a decree that goes out that they are to worship the image, but they refuse to worship the Hebrew boys. So, after Daniel interpreted that dream, as I said, Nebuchadnezzar, he set Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the affairs of the province of Babylon. And this made some of the Chaldeans very jealous that he had done that. And then Nebuchadnezzar, he built this huge golden image, and he made a decree that everyone would fall down and worship the image. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they would not bow. And so in chapter 3 of Daniel, verse 8, it says, Wherefore at that time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. And then we go down to verse 12, it says, And they said unto Nebuchadnezzar, these Chaldeans said, There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, and they named them Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee, they serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. And verse 13 says, Then Nebuchadnezzar in his rage and fury commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Well, here he had, Nebuchadnezzar had set them over the province of Babylon. He expected them, to follow what all his commands and his decrees and laws, but they weren't going to. They were not. So he was very mad, and he told them to bring these men before him. And verse 14 says, Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, these three, says, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? And he gives them a choice. He says, Now, if ye be ready, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, the sackbut, the psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. And then he says, well, so he's saying, if you'll do this and you fall down and worship, everything's going to be good for you. But then he goes on to say, but if you worship not, you shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Well, verse 16, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they answered and said unto the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we're not careful to answer thee in this matter. So they weren't going to try to just please the king. They said, we're not going to be careful answering thee. We know this God, we know our God. And they gave him the answer. They said, if it be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. And they go on to say, not only that, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. And they said, but if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. So they said, whether God delivers us from the fire or whether God doesn't, we're still going to serve God. My devotion, I took Brother Jody's first point that he made. He called it the walk, when you know what's coming. And I took one of the things he talked about. He said they stood against the crowd. And that's what I want to talk on. And I found this image. I don't know that this is what it looked like. And I don't know this is what the three Hebrew young men looked like. But, just like the three Hebrew young men, we need to stand against the crowd in the times that we live in. The world is trying to say that everything is okay. It's all right to do what you want to do. It's your life. You make the rules that you want to live by. The world says you decide what's right and you decide what's wrong. The world will say there is no absolute truth. So each person must decide for themselves what is right and what is wrong. Well, the gods of this world and the devil, they've blinded the eyes and they've made deaf the ears and they've darkened the hearts and the minds of those who are in sin, and sometimes even those in the church. Our idol that we're asked to bow down to is not a huge statue, but it can come in many different forms. And we as Christians must be very careful what and who we watch, what and who we read, and what and who we listen to, and even to the music we listen to and sing. It may sound good to the ear and say all the right words, but what is the true theology behind the source? It may look like God, it may sound like God, it may even feel like God, but is it really God? Now, Jesus says in Matthew, it's actually Matthew 21, 7, 21 through 23. I put 24 on here. He says, but not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Verse 22 says, many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils? And in thy name done many wonderful works? Verse 23 says, and then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. So these said that they did all this in his name, but he says, I never knew you. You claim to do it in my name, but your hearts were far from me, really, when it came down to it. We look at Ephesians, and this is one of my for verses I really like. It's a life verse, I think, something that we all need to be aware of. Ephesians 6, 12, and 13. It says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. It says, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. I encourage each of you to stand fast in your faith and be bold like these three Hebrew young men, and follow God. No matter what situation you may face, God will deliver you from that. We know that, nothing, as I've said before, and I say it again and again and again, nothing happens to us that is not sifted through God's hands first. Nothing catches him by surprise. He allows nothing to come in contact with us that he does not know about. So please, be bold in your faith, and hold on to God, no matter what the situation might be, and be weary of things that may come your way that look like God. It may sound like God, it may feel like God, but it's not God at all. Be so close to God that you can tell the difference. I hope you enjoyed this Friday devotion, and I hope you'll be at church Sunday. Brother TJ will be preaching. Be much in prayer for him. Be much in prayer for those who'll be coming. We have people going to the altar every Sunday now, recently, and that's a great thing. Have been having baptisms every Sunday also, which is a wonderful thing, that people are falling out of sin and being baptized. Just pray that continues. Pray for all those who may come, that God will bring our way, that we can show them the love of Jesus Christ and show them the salvation that he offers. I love each one of you, and we'll see you on Sunday.